windows, all components, and including storefront walls, and also furnishings. Now, in level 2, there are no furnishings, but you can see basically the trace of what is the reflective ceiling in level 1. So for your reflective ceiling plan, which I'm going to scroll down to, go to level 1. Here's your reflective ceiling plan. And then for level 2, basically non-complete. So we'll go over that. So let's go back to floor plans and level 1. So we're going to put in an area where we can actually show stairs. So what you would need is to go here in your architectural tab and go to stair. And you click on that. Now you're going to start developing and drawing your run of your stairs. So most stairs are going to be like the length of 3 feet, which is 36 inches. And the rise and run is always 7, 11, or 7 inches high, and then also the width of the run, which is about 11 inches. So as an example, and I'm going to show this here. I'm going to pick out my stairs, and I'm going to have it at this corner. It'll be sort of like an egress outside of these 2 office spaces. And so I'm going to trail this out, and you'll see it. And what you also are looking at is the length. So I would say I have about close to about 10 stairs as a run. And it gives the measurement. Now, if you want, you can switch this over and make it go down. Right now, it's shown this way. So before you do anything, and I'm going to pick move, and I'm going to move the stairs. Okay, so you have it here, and what I'm going to do is do the same thing on the other side. So I go to stair, and I'm just going to do a straight run. Now, also you have this as an example as a straight run. You also have a spiral, which you can create, and end spiral, and an L shape, and then you have the U shape. You also can create a landing, and we'll talk about how to create your own railings. So we're just going to pick out a run. So I have another run here. And so I'm only going to do it on 2 sides. And before I do anything else, I'm going to go to support. I'll just click the check mark here. So if you wanted to create railing, you can go to railing here, and then you can sketch the path, or you can place the railing of the ramp. So if you do place a railing in the ramp, you can go by treads or stringer. So that's one way to actually create a railing. And if that doesn't work, you can go back to railing again and then set the path. And so when you set the path, make sure you have a straight line, and then you can go out here and start creating your railing. And then click here. And if I have an error message, so it's saying that the railing must be single connect sketch. So I'll discard the sketch. I'll start over. But also, for example, if you go to default 3D view, and you look at it from a 3D view, this is how your stairs looks. Now the only difference is that the stairs need to be in a different direction. So we're going to go back to level 1. And I'm going to undo both stairs. And now we're going to do the straight run again. And this time I'm going to pick out here. Now let's see how that turns out. Okay, this is about right. And I'm going to do the other side. And you also notice that you can line these up, so if you're trying to keep them equal distance, you can be able to do that. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. If that doesn't work, you can probably try, let me try on the opposite side. Since we have one stairs going one way, we'll have the other stairs going the other. And this is the extension. So let me go and just see. And so now if I go to default 3D, you'll see the stairs. And if I go to level 2, you won't see it, but you will see what looks like the landing. So keep in mind, these are all components. And even when you have to look at various components within Revit, you'll see it. Now going back to railing, if I wanted to sketch or draw, I can always draw railing. And there you are. And then you can go to, again, sketch and draw railing. And on this side, and here's. And also notice that when you have like, anytime when you go to endpoint, you'll see it and it comes up as a magenta line. And let's see, I quit sketching. Let's try one more time. I'll go back to railing. We'll have the railing again. And there you are. Now I'm going to go over a couple other tools and also we're going to look at elevations as well. So I'm going to go to level 2 and there's a couple of things that I'm going to do in level 2 as well. For part of the exercise, I'm going to add my other components. And the reason why I'm going to add my components now is because I want to fill the room as much as I can. As part of this means of showing how we can pull components together. And I'm going to do this in a very unique way so we can all look at how pulling each one of these components when you are creating floors. And then we're going to go and look at how we can develop roofs or a roof. So we're going to follow into roofs after this. So now if we're going to look at roofs, and there's two things. Since we're looking at level 2, and then we're going to look at how we create our elevations. Keep in mind, these nodes right here with the triangle are points of which your building, you can look at in the elevation. So if I go down to elevation, I look on the east side, we'll bring this up close. This is what you see. Now, if there's anything such as this, such as the curtain window, you can always scroll this back down as a component. Okay. If you look on the north side, you look on the south, and you look at the west. Now we're going to go back to level 2. That's a reflective ceiling plan. So we're going to go back to level 2 in the floor plan, where we're creating a roof. And go to roof, and you see here where it's roof by footprint. You click on that. And so, for example, the generic size, which is a 12-inch, or you can have a generic field, or 18-inch field, or truss. There's several versions. I think I'm going to use 18. And in your properties section, you can look here. You have to make sure you check off for room bounding and what type of cut it's going to be. If it's going to be a 2-cut or a 2-cut square, so I'll just say a 2-cut square. And you can scroll down and do other customization. You can add a slope, you can add a thickness, and you can change the thickness. These are all things that you're telling, basically what you're doing is you're telling the computer that this is how I want to customize my roof. And so a cutoff level, if you scroll down, your cutoff level is level 2. We're not going to worry about offset. And this is for fascia. And if you had a slope, you can use that, but you're going to click apply. And so you're going to apply that, and you go here. And if that customization doesn't work, stay with the 12. Stay with the boundary line, and then click on line. Then from endpoint to endpoint, trace around the whole edge of the exterior wall. So I'm coming to the end here, and so that works perfectly. And I have it at level 2, base at level 2, room boundarying, plumb cut, I can change it. So if it's nothing more, nothing less, let me see here. Let me go to square cut. I do apply. And then click the green check mark here. And it's asking me if I would like to attach to the highlighted walls to the roof. And I say yes. And so now I created the roof. And let me cancel. And so let's look at it from a different perspective. So this will be kind of a way to see and visualize what you're looking at. Now, I brought it back into this mode for the default 3D. Another way that you can look at things too is, let's go back to here. I'm going to click on this, which is part of the generic roof. And let's do the base offset. I'm going to go about 6 inches and say apply. And then let's look at it again and see how it looks. So you see the generic roof here. So let me just fill this back. But when you first start, at least you will know that from whatever the perimeter or the footprint of your roof, that this is where it's going to be. Now, I've gone back because of a couple of things. I wanted to verify all of the nodes and everything that's there. And also here, you see these little triangles, which is like the slope. So I know the perimeter is identified. So my slope is about, if you look closely, 9.5 inches. And I have this at a square cut. and a base level at level 2. And so if I go and I actually do a quick rendition, which oftentimes helps me to visualize and see everything. So let's hide the lines and let's see where we are. And so here's where my roof is. When I touch onto it, I actually touch the roof. So there's a couple things that I need to do. I need to lift this up. And so from here, I'm going to raise this roof. I'll set to 10. Then I'm going to click apply. And that brings it up further. And so now it's part. You can also change it again. So from this 3D view, I click here. And I'm going to go back down to 9 feet. I'm going to go as close as 9 feet 11. Apply. So I have it here at 9 feet 11. So again, if I look at it from, and this is peaked. This is not a flat roof. Now we could create a roof that is close. But this is what we see. So let's go back to, we have it this level here. And I'm going to select the roof. You can always scroll these nodes down to make the slope different size, maybe about this size. And you can also lower the size. And go 9 feet and see what comes out. So that just lands it. So we have it here. So now if we look at it again from east to north to south to west. Now, what is missing, and which I'm going to do on level 2, is putting in windows. So I'm going to do this real quick. And this time around, I am going to use some fixed. And I am going to pick other windows that are a different shape or a different configuration. And then we're going to look at elevations. So the largest size, and these are the placement 85 by 60. I'm going to pull these. And so once I'm done, say cancel, back here. There we are. And if we look at it again, east, north, south, and west. It does look like a house, but it really isn't. And then if we go to default 3D, this is how we see it in this building modeling. Okay, now I'm going to save this because we are going to another look at elevations. Well, it's going to be interior elevations. So first let me save. I'm going to save what I have as a project. And so I'm going to save it here. And then I'm also going to give it a new name because now I'm going to show how you can create elevations and use them later in your model. So now after I save this, there's one file that's going to be all elevations and details. And also I have some sheets, but I don't have all of my sheets. But we'll talk about sheets at a later time. Now going back to level 1, and if we wanted to pick out elevations, go to views, and when you go to views, then start out with elevation. You should see the elevation arrow here. And so what you're doing is you're picking an elevation and you're using this arrow. So if I wanted to pick an elevation in an interior elevation, I can pick an interior elevation pointing the arrow here or here. Or here. I can even have an elevation directed on this side. And I can have one elevation, let's say pointing this way. Okay, so once that's done, then I stop and go back to, and go to my modify arrow. When I scroll down to elevations, this is what you see. And this is the interior in a space, including showing the stairs. Now, what's unique about this, also, if you had to have it shaded, you can go here and do a shaded. And here, you can also print this out and have this as shaded. So right now, I'm going to go back to wireframe because wireframe is where, or hidden lines, where we see most of our elevations. So I have a set of elevations here. That's one. I go to level 2. And I am actually going to send a couple other things. We'll go to View, and we're going to show also how to use sections. Now, in elevations, you can also have a framing elevation, which is if you were going to scale the whole building and show the truss and the columns. So right now we don't need to do that, but we are going to show sections. And so what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to save. And I'm going to save this. And give file a new name. So as an example, if I wanted to show a section, I can pick this in the View tab, and then I can show a overall section of this area. And what it's going to do when I show this, once I show this section, I could label it. This is what comes out. And so you will see an actual section of the building. So when I click on sections, section 1 will be this. I go back to level 2. I can give a section a number. You also will notice that if you ever have to print this out, this is what you would see. So I'm going to rename it. And so that's what I would label it as. If I wanted to show a section here, all I have to do is click on section. And here's my second section. Now, you can flip the arrow around. You can flip the section going this way. Also, when you right click, I want to add a number or entity. And so sometimes when you're adding entities, you can either right click on it to add the entity, and you give the section whatever the building section name is going to be. So stop, and I go down to, this is the new section. Now you see the section this way. So these are different projections and views that you can see from your built model. And starting from here, you can build all of your views. The last thing is when you start adding these to sheets, starting with your floor plan. And we will talk about this and also how we can pull our floor plan together and also schedules.